We got some people joining. How's it going?
Hey,
How you doing?
there you are. Okay.
Yeah, the
You know,
background. I think you guys missed the background, but I had was showing off how Zoom has like a little AI now that I saw that like will if you just type in something as a prompt, it'll create like a background based on what you put in there. And I just said like a unicorn, pretty fancy unicorn is what it ended up being. Let's see if it still shows up here. Let's see. Here it is. Yeah, look at that beauty.
there you go.
Pretty nice for just saying like, hey, generate me, a unicorn and did it pretty quick. So pretty impressed.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm sure you can get pretty creative with it. If it that is the output just for, that. Let me see what else. They gave some pretty interesting like ideas, even just for suggestions. I'll play with it for a few minutes while people kind of join and hop on. Hmm. Yeah. It's got interesting like styles that you can, select different artistic styles, even depending on what you want to generate. Harambe, this is like the Harambe meme right here. Wow, pretty fancy. Yeah, it does about anything these days.
That's awesome.
How's your week been?
Good. Not too bad. Finalizing plans for, what 2027, what our 3-year target is, and then we're going to backpedal. I mean, we have our goals and everything set up for 2025, but we wanted to figure out, what would it look like? What would the company look like in 2027 or by the end of 2027?
Nice. I like that.
We'll
Do
get
you
that
break it
finalized.
down more than just the business aspect? You break it down kind of like individually?
Like on a personal level.
Yeah, well, yeah, like each employee, like they have their own goals of like where they want to be,
Oh,
and anything.
yeah. So that is a part of our planning process. Right now, we're just finalizing like the high level stuff. And then once we do that, it'll turn into more of a, okay, how can we incorporate our employees' goals into this? And how do we align that? And so I'm definitely pretty stoked about what we have so far.
Yeah, no, I mean honestly, like having something, in my opinion, is better than nothing, right? Like you have to start somewhere, and you
Oh,
can
yeah.
continue to build off of it, right? Like I feel like just so many people, even have been in business for many years, still don't do anything to try to get that ball rolling in general. I don't know if it's a matter of are they stuck or they don't know, what they should be setting goal wise or how do they, track it or I don't know. I think it's all differentiated on, what they're wanting to do, but I feel like you have to have something, like realistically. That's the only way you're gonna grow or push yourself to grow.
Yeah. And plus, it gives you direction, and it helps alleviate, the shiny object syndrome, which I know a lot of us are very prone to being trapped
Yeah.
into. And
Yeah.
so it's yeah, it definitely helps keep that focus. That's for sure.
No, this industry is easy to get distracted or sidetracked in. I find, that's pretty common. I've seen it myself. I've experienced it myself. I've been in it and, seen many other people do the same thing. And at the end of the day, it all comes back to doing what they were good at and not trying to do something else because they thought it might be a good way to make more, money or something, but they had no experience in it. And, tirelessly they put in money and effort and realized this is, this isn't working, but I don't know, like wholesale devices, so many people have came in and out of it, and very few are, are ever left standing after so long. And it's just brutal. So, what are you cheating at, Ben?
Red velvet cake.
Nice,
We have a nice
nice,
local bakery in the shopping center here.
nice. Is that your goal this year to support your local bakery and continue eating their red velvet cake?
Yes, my goal is to gain weight this year. I have some very solid goals this year actually.
Let's hear
Yeah,
'em.
please do share.
So I will briefly I will talk about what the past year has looked like for me and then what I want out of next year. And it's gonna sound really crazy, but I'm gonna pull it off. Um, January 15th of last year is when I opened my store. And I opened in a warehouse slash flex space, and I think I might have done like $3,000 my first month. But I moved to a nice new shopping center in September, and we ended out the year. We did 27,500 in December, and on this month we are on track to beat it. We're on track to do 30. We introduced gaming computers and pushing lease to own more. But we also are very repair heavy. We do a lot of repairs here. Um, and next month, I'm bringing on a someone who is just as good or even maybe a little bit better at repairs as I am, and he's also very experienced in sales and very well multifaceted. And I'm hoping that with that addition, that's going to free me up to do more marketing and, do more like business owner things and keep me out of repairs all day. So, with all that in mind, I am shooting for $450,000 this year.
Okay,
Sorry.
nice.
How
Yeah,
many
that's
empl-
awesome.
how many employees do you have right now, Ben?
It is me and one part timer. He works on the weekends.
And then so this person would make you guys two and the part-timer then?
Yeah, yeah. So it would be a total of three, two full time, including myself, and one part time. It's my first full timer, and I'm very excited because I'm working 7 days a week, so I'm excited to be able to. I'm gonna start out by going down to 6 days, and then eventually I want to be working 5 days a week, and I am very excited for that.
I've never had employees, so I can attest to that, but I'm sure it's probably a big, I wouldn't say relief, but it'll be a fun transition in general, right? Like,
It is. It's a huge relief. That's the perfect word for it. I feel like there's going to be a huge weight lifted off of my shoulders because with this addition, the day to day operations of the business are not going to be dependent on me. Not to say that obviously I have to be very involved in the business and everything, and I will be, but I'll be able to go drive across the street and pick up lunch. Like there's going to be so many things I'll be able to do that I haven't been able to, and the business will live on.
I think that's the ultimate goal. I mean,
Yeah.
slowly detaching the reliability of it, you having to be there for everything to operate and to, still, not burn down.
Right.
That's everybody's dream. Very few can get
Yeah.
out of it, I feel like, though. So
I
good for
think that's
you.
why I think that's why it's important to start attacking that as soon as you have the ability to, because if like I feel like if I didn't do this now, I wouldn't, because I
Yep.
would become too cemented that, oh, I don't need anybody, or I want to make all this money for myself. But now I'm at the point in my business where I just kind of crossed the line of being able to afford that. And the business is still growing and there's still so many opportunities for growth. It's not like I've been in business for 10 years and we're averaging 30 a month and that's it. I want to grow far past that. I want to be a multi-store owner, everything. So I feel like, consistently growing and introducing employees and, finding ways to make the business not dependent on my presence every day is the way to go.
Where are you based out of?
Jacksonville.
Is there a lot of competition down there?
Yes. There's I would say quantity wise, there's less than a place like Tampa or Miami, but we've got some cutthroat bastards here. I mean, there's someone just opened up 10 minutes down the road from me who's charging, I think, $50 for iPhone 11 screen. So I have one shop that I see a lot of previous repairs from that you'd consider them competition, but then when half of their work ends up coming to you to be redone, are they really competition? No.
Yeah, I mean they're a referral, long term. I mean as they become more of a liability for sure. I mean
Right.
they're the AT&T and T-Mobile store you don't have to go to, give them donuts or pizza. So
Yeah. I have Aaron Williams about 25 minutes down the road from me, and he has been a great asset for me because
well,
him and Chien do
yeah,
refurbishing and all of that, and I mean having him at my disposal is just, oh man,
yeah,
I almost want to say I couldn't do it without him because he's very important in my
yeah.
business, but
Both both of them very good guys. Been
yeah,
around a long
and
time.
he does retail too.
Mhm.
He's also open to the public, but I think he's kind of just crossed over into a different market than I'm in. Even though we're both in Jacksonville, he's kind of on, I would consider it a different side of Jacksonville. Um, and he only does, for the most part, like screen repairs and cell phones and stuff. We're very computer heavy. So we honestly, I would say cell phones isn't even the bulk of what we do here.
Yeah. No, I know you said you did a lot of computer stuff, so that's
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, do you do anything like out of the store? Do you guys do like on-site or, offer business like computer services, like,
That
beyond just a build?
I used to do mobile. I used to travel to people's houses. I mean, I've done networking stuff and security cameras and all that. I don't right now, but I want to introduce that in the next few months
Yeah.
because there isn't anyone around here that does it reliably. And I still have a lot of my past clients that ask me for those services, and I just can't offer them right now. But I definitely do want to get back into that.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I mean, that's Nathan. I know that's Nathan's bread and butter for sure. He's, heavier on that side. And I know a couple other guys in the industry, Ben Warda being one of them, MSP style stuff. He even, Ben spun off a separate company because his MSP stuff got so busy from his phone repair, he started
Hmm.
operating them independently because he slowly grew it out of the repair side, but he saw the demand and grew it from there. And I'm sure there's probably others that I don't know about that have done it, but I think there's always going to be that demand.
Oh yeah,
That
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
shoot, my goal is I want to have about $100,000 worth of MRR by 2027.
That's that would be amazing.
So I mean, we're already at close to 50.
Wow.
So
And what is that? Just off of like managed IT contracts?
mhm. we do
Wow.
both. We do business and residential um, agreements. So I think I put down, what did I put down? Yeah, I want to have at least 1,000 households enrolled in what we call a residential protection plan. And I don't want to have a lot of MS, or I don't want to have a lot of small business customers. I'm shooting for about 160
Okay.
with an average spend of about 500 a month. So Right now we have about 120 clients, and the average spend is lower than 500. So, realistically, I could still cut a lot of my lower end clients to replace with more profitable ones.
Do you require your IT clients to purchase their equipment through you?
Not necessarily, but so our niche is focusing on small businesses, and small businesses, they're very limited when it comes to budget.
Hmm.
So a lot of the cases, what we find is, although we don't require them to purchase their equipment through us, they prefer to purchase their equipment through us, because we're, partners with Dell or Lenovo as resellers. And if they need equipment or gear like firewall or access points or things like that, we have a vendor that we do hardware as a service through. So we get like 16% margin off of those deals every month. So, if I sell a firewall for $60, I'm getting, I get billed for it, of course, but I get billed for it at, wholesale price each
Right.
month.
Huh.
And then I build that into their agreement. Same with, access points. And we do have a couple of clients that have computers as like a leased hardware as a service, where it's like a 36-month agreement, and we're going to cover everything for that workstation. And then at the end of the 36 months, we're going to take our equipment back and replace it with newer equipment. And
Okay.
then we're going to take that equipment that we leased out and sell it in the store. So we will buy brand new, lease it out to companies. Once the lease is up, we sell it as a, refurbished or certified pre-owned,
That's
in the
awesome.
stores. So
That's killer. I love that. What do you,
Yeah.
if you don't mind me asking, I mean, I know this is kind of a loaded question, but on average, what are you leasing a computer for? How much are you going to make off of a 36-month lease?
so a 36-month lease, we usually get our money back within the first 12 months, is how we have it built in. And then, for the next 24 months, it's just straight bottom line.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you sell it at the end.
Yep. And then we get it back, and then we go ahead and flip it and sell it. So, yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
know it was, you had mentioned your goal for 2025, but I guess what I like to try to encourage other store owners to do is kind of look further past 2025 and set a target like 3 years out, and then plan backwards from there
Yep.
versus trying to plan forwards, because then what you're going to do is you're always going to be stuck in that frame of mind, like, okay, well, this is what I've done. This is what I know has worked, what I know doesn't work. If you just, Ben, if I had a magic wand, right? If I was your fairy godmother and I had a magic wand and I could say, hey, Ben, by 2027, you could have whatever the hell you want, you know, what would your fantasy be? Where would you want the business to be? Where would you want your personal income to be? And then, build out a list. And then once you have those KPIs or metrics, then you stop and reflect and you say, okay, now that I have that, what does the business look like? And like when I was going through my planning, I was talking to Josh before everybody else was starting to hop on. When I was going through my planning, that's a struggle. That's really hard. Like it is so hard to think about, to envision like what the future would be, because we haven't lived it. And, I got to get out of the mindset. It's hard to get out of the mindset of like, oh, well, that's never going to work.
Mm,
Or that's almost impossible. Like I've got some pretty ridiculous things on where the business is going to be. Like, shoot, for 100% of our diagnostics, and this is, we do computer repair as well. 100% of our diagnostics are completed in under 6 hours. Like
that's
that's
good.
that's hard. 80% of our repairs would be completed in less than 24 hours. 99% of our customer calls are answered live and, don't go to voicemail. We've sold 1.3 million in devices out of the store, not the MSP side, but just
Yeah.
out of the stores, because we have two. And what was the other one? Oh, and then I also have a goal in here to get about 500,000 in computer store repair from doing warranty work by partnering with companies like Dell, Lenovo, HP, Asus.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so yeah, and then backing up, going back from there. And one area that we focus on is I've got my revenue target. I've got what I want our in-store sales to be, what our MRR is going to look like, what I want our cost of goods to be. I also focus on things like DLER, which is direct labor efficiency ratio. It pretty much lets me know like, hey, how efficient are my technicians? Out of every dollar that I spend, how much am I getting back in the business?
Mm.
And then we also look at management labor efficiency ratios, which it sounds like it would just cover the management staff, but it includes the management staff and the administrative staff and sales. So like the support staff, right? Like how much money can I spend and invest into the support staff to ensure that I'm going to get a good return on my investment there? Um, Obviously, NOI is definitely, I got to have money hitting the bottom line. We do a thing called Q12, which is more around employee satisfaction, which is out of 5.0, and it goes over all kinds of it's 12 questions that it asks your employees, and based off of the results, it puts you, at a score and says how you rank in comparison to other companies nationwide or even globally.
How
And
many
that,
employees do you have?
so I have, let's see, 10 right now, and I'm going to be losing one to the Air Force, but I'm going to be replacing him with three, and I'm going to be replacing him with two overseas employees. So
Okay.
one's gonna be handling like remote tech work, and the other one is gonna be more of an account manager and sales. And then I'm gonna have a 1099 employee that's gonna be focused on door knocking.
Do you think that so are you replacing him with three employees because you want to, or you feel like he does the job of those three employees?
Oh no, he doesn't do the job of those three employees. In
Okay.
order for me to get to the next step of where we want to be in the business, that's an investment that has to be made.
Okay.
Like
So
if
that's
I'm gonna,
that's just a step up in general.
right, and it's going to cost me less to hire two of them because I'm replacing two with his one salary because I'm outsourcing overseas.
Right.
So, the amount of investment is going to be very minimal to a stateside employee. Um, so it's going to alleviate a lot of stress off of the team, but it's also going to help us, launch into the next level because, we like to mine our database for things, but we only do that when we're slow. And we usually get a pretty good result. What I mean by mining database, I'm focusing around, clients that have already done business with me.
Okay.
Because we do so much work with I have 500 residential customers on a contract with us. And so we have over 700 devices under management for just the residential side, not the business side, but just the
Wow.
residential side. And so, if I had somebody fully dedicated to doing account management where they're calling these customers, seeing, hey, did you have a good experience? Is there anything else you need? Hey, did you know that we do X, Y, and Z? Um, hey, I noticed that your computer's RAM, you only have 8 gigs of RAM. Why don't you have 16 or 32? What do you use your device for? Let's go ahead and upgrade that. Making those calls and getting those customers back into the door. And we haven't really put a huge focus on that level of account management for sales before. So in order for us to get to the next stage, I feel like I need to invest in, that type of an employee. And then the other one is we took our maintenance and everything in house for our managed services, where we're doing managing workstations and all of that with our PSA tool. And we took that in-house. But in order for me to free up my guy to do maintenance work, I need to have a remote tech because he's always telling me, "Hey, I'm going to go ahead and knock out these maintenance tickets." And we're in a daily huddle the next day, and I'm like, "Hey, so how did yesterday go?" He's like, "Well, didn't get through any maintenance tickets because I had a bunch of remote support requests come in." So that's definitely a good problem to have, and so I'm going to hire some support staff to help him. And then, of course, because I don't have time to do carrier visits that much anymore myself, and I want us to get involved more with the community. That's why I'm going to hire that 1099 person, where their compensation is pretty much based off of activities that they do. So I'm going to pay them, maybe it's $5, maybe it's $10 for every carrier that they visit, and then I'll pay them for every business that they go and knock on their door and say, "Hey, do you have any, hey, we do who we are, what we offer. Here's a little bag. Do you want to set an appointment? Traditional door knocking.
Yeah.
So they'll get compensated off of all of that, as well as community events. I think we have a really good name in the community. Whenever you say, our, computer warriors, a lot of people know us. But I think there's still a lot more from an exposure standpoint that we're possibly missing out on. Of course, all of this is pure speculation. But in order for us to verify whether or not that, I was like the scientific method, you have to test your hypothesis before you know whether or not you're going to get success out of it. And if it doesn't work, then we just pivot and move.
Yeah.
That's all we
I
can
mean, it
do.
sounds like a pretty amazing plan to me. I do want to go back to something that you said earlier. You were talking about looking from, I guess, from further away and then backing up and figuring out, how to get there.
Mhm.
Um, in general, I really like that idea, but I think that the struggle that I would run into if I tried to do that is, in my case, I've never owned a business before. I'm pretty new to this, and I feel like in a year's time, in 2 years' time, I'm going to learn a lot of other things. I'm going to move in some different directions that might change what I want in that
Mhm.
period of 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the road. And
Okay.
so I was talking about yesterday with someone that I was interested, or not interested, but I wanted, by the time I'm 26 years old, which would be 5 years from now,
Okay.
I want to have 3 or 4 store locations that I am a 50% owner of. I think that my ideal plan to get where I want to be is starting the store, getting it off the ground, setting everything up how I want it to be, hiring who I want to hire, and then giving half of it away in partnership to someone who I know and trust and believe can run the business on their own. So that when I get to that point of where I have multiple locations, I don't have to put so much work into each store staying on top of things because I have someone who's invested in it like I am. That's uh that's the plan with this location, is the person that I'm bringing on full time is going to end up being a partner. Um, but I want to do that because I want to have the option to kind of walk away from the phone repair business in that time when I have the amount of stores that I want, um, and be able to have people in place that can keep things running in my absence effectively so that I can go and pursue other things, maybe go into another industry. I'm very young and I know that this isn't what I want to do forever.
Mhm.
But I'm here and I would say good at this, and I have a pretty good start, and I don't want to, I would never be interested in selling my store and walking away right now. I want to build it up to something that can maintain me, and then I can go do something that I like more.
Yeah. I definitely want to recommend you giving up 50% ownership unless they're going to buy into it. I want to just give up equity. Like that is the worst thing that I would that you could ever do. And if the thought process is, um, you know, I feel like I need to give up equity so that way I can find somebody who's actually going to be passionate enough to do this, and
Mm.
that's the mindset, then I would build a compensation structure around or for them to where financially it's rewarding to get them to want to keep pushing and producing results for the business. Just because you give somebody 50% equity doesn't mean that it's going to be successful. They could run it to the ground and now you're out all of those hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you don't, if they're not investing into the business, then that's going to put you at a loss. So what I would recommend doing instead is, building a compensation structure around that's going to motivate not only them but also you to want to continue to grow the business. And I would do it based off of like, hey, giving them a base and then maybe some profit sharing. Maybe you give them 15, 20, 30% of the profits at the end of the month, the end of the quarter, end of the year, and to help fuel their excitement, their energy, and their growth. And if you want to get to a point where you want to give them equity into the business, then you could either do it where they have to pay you directly if they have the funds to do so, or take it out of the profit share and say, hey, look, if you want to have equity into the business, this is what the business is valued at. This is what it's worth. So this is what we need to do, kind of like owner lending, where you're selling it to somebody and you're not going through a bank. They're just paying you directly and you're owner financing. Um,
Okay.
that that's more along the lines of what I would recommend versus
Hey,
just giving up that ownership equity.
Ben,
Yes.
I have talked to the person that you're thinking about partnering with. I am curious, why are you trying to find a partner for your business? I missed that start of the call because I'm never on time.
So the plan with him has been, it was initially that he was going to come and work for my store here for at least 6 months, like between 6 months and a year, and help me get everything straightened away here. And then the plan was to open another location in partnership. And um, I've shifted from that into keeping the same thing. So 6 months to a year. And then I go open another location and partner on the existing one.
Why are
Uh,
you trying to get a partner?
because in
Yeah,
my mind, it's pretty much at least, and I know that it would be worth it at least with this person.
I
Uh,
know who you're I know who
from
you're
from
I was
talking
gonna
what
say,
about.
with what
can you
Nathan was saying,
disclose who it is?
It's
I'd
somebody who
probably
runs a CPR store and they're damn good at it.
yeah.
Oh, nah.
It's
All right,
it's
you're good.
someone that I don't think that anyone here would know.
Gotcha.
But just for the sake of confidentiality,
It's all
I'll
right.
keep the
Yeah,
name to
yeah, you're
myself.
good. You're good.
Um, with this person, I know that partnership would be worth it. With what Nathan was saying, he's definitely right. And I think that maybe I will take that into consideration on future locations. But basically, I want to be able to turn this store over to someone who can run it completely by themselves without me, so that
All
I
right.
can go and open location number two, build that up, and only have to worry about that, while I know, someone that shares the same values that I do and is better than me is maintaining this store and keeping everything running here. And then my plan was to do the next, do that all over again and just keep going until I have the amount of stores that I want. And my thought was, by the end of it, I have 4 locations or 5 locations that I'm taking 50% of the profit from every month, and I'm not doing anything because I have 5 people in place that are taking care of those stores, that are doing everything that needs to be done. And then I can go, I don't know, open a strip club or something. It
Why
Why do
wouldn't
you
don't
be,
want five?
not
you
a strip
Why do you
club.
want five? Why
That
do you
was my
want
next question.
four to
Why do you
five
want so
locations?
Yeah, why do you want so many stores?
I want to be able to effectively cover my market, basically. And I think that
Florida?
I,
What is so?
not Florida.
What does that mean?
What do you mean? What does it mean as far as what's my market, or
Yeah, like what are you defining as your market?
my market as in the area that I live in? So I'm looking in a probably 40-mile radius.
Okay. What's the population? Or
Big.
you said you're in Tampa, right?
No, Jacksonville.
Big, big. Anything in Florida is big.
It would be Jacksonville, South Jacksonville, and St. Augustine.
You're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna have a hard time branching into that Jacksonville area, man. There's some good shops down there that do work for just damn near free,
I
and
am
they do good work
Jacksonville.
for damn near free.
I don't want to go any more into Jacksonville. This is as far into Jacksonville as I want to be, and I'm on the very south end.
If
My
you
next my next store is going to be about uh 25 minutes south of here in St. Augustine, in a pretty well populated part of that that's growing a lot. And then after that, I want to go to it's called Ponte Vedra Beach, which is technically it's the same county as St. Augustine, and then two more, uh, ideally two more in St. Augustine further south.
So what's stopping you from getting an employee with like your one location and just starting to work toward that goal? Like that's what I've been working toward the last like 4 years in my business, and now I have two full-time employees that will work for me whenever I don't want to work. What's stopping you from just doing that? If your thing is you want to just not work a whole bunch but still take home a paycheck, why are you trying to? It feels like you're going to cause yourself a lot more stress if you get a bunch more stores, even if you're only 50%. I feel like you're going to
Because
have a lot more stress.
the trade-off with the 50% is I give you this 50% of my business and you do everything. I
So
I I do nothing. You manage.
partnerships can be really iffy because of that issue. If somebody gave me 50% of a business and then they were like, "Oh fuck it, I'm just gonna go get on a cruise or something," and not really worry because I've got somebody running my business. That 50% partner, I don't feel like it's gonna stay that 50% partner for long either. They're gonna stop and just go open up their own location because why would they take 50 when you're doing nothing? There's got to be give and take with partners, which is why the partner strategy is really stressful to that's why the partner strategy is really really hard because one person ends up it's like high school, one person ends up doing all the work on the project, and that other person just gets to do whatever they want, and then they get half the credit, and then they get a good grade or something like that. It's just like that.
It's a good analogy, but I feel like it's different when when you're in a group project in school. I mean,
Right.
it's not like this is more so you're working on a project by yourself and
Have you
you
chatted with Robert Miranda?
very briefly, I think.
He's a very intelligent man. He's an absolute
Yes.
meme, but he's very intelligent. And he recently bought some CPR stores last year. And oh God, what's the number, Josh, that he has now? Eight stores or something?
Sorry, who I just got back.
Robert Miranda, he has what, 8 stores?
5, I think.
5? Was
Yeah.
that a little? I know he had an acquisition last year of a few.
Yeah, there was like 3 of them, I think. I think he's got 4. I
I don't
think he
know,
had
Ben.
one, and then there's 3 more after that.
You got to be really careful with those partnerships. Another good example of partnerships failing is, of course, Josh, Matthew Leonard, and Jay Yanish. There's that whole disaster.
That's why I'm kind of trying to trial this first. That's why it's with undisclosed human A.
Right. Right.
I'm not jumping right into a partnership. I'm kind of trialing for the 6 months to a year and trying to determine all of those things, and if it's the right fit. I think that with him it is.
I'm
Um,
surprised. Well,
but
yeah. I mean,
I don't
that's
know
a
if it's going to be
given.
the same for other people. And so, that's what remains to be seen. But I feel like, for a sole owner, once you get up to like 4 or 5 stores, you can probably have managers in place at all of the stores and handle it.
So
But
why have a partner then?
because that's not what I want. I don't want to handle it. I want to go do something else. And I don't want to get rid of my stores.
I can tell you from a little bit of experience.
Oh, what's up, Rashad? I didn't even know you were in here, bro. Long
Yeah,
time no
I
talk.
hopped in and then I got a phone call and I got kicked out, so now I'm back. But well, I want to touch on one thing that I was trying to jump in on before I got the phone call. St. Augustine. I don't live in Florida, but I got a brother. I got 2 brothers that live in Florida, and one of them's really close to St. Augustine. That's going to be really expensive and really slow. So if you open up a store out there, it needs to look like an Apple store, and it needs to be really expensive. That's the only way you're gonna make your money.
St.
100%.
Augustine, a bougie place to live or something?
Yeah, St. Augustine it's like a retirement community, so everybody is
Oh,
snobby and rich, but it's
yeah.
not a
Oh,
lot of people that's
I that's where I grew up was technically St. Augustine, and you're definitely, it's turned into that. At least it wasn't always, but at this point it's very much a very upscale area. And you're 100% right with that. You have to be very, very official, a lot of things, but I do think that I don't think that that's going to be a problem.
When
yeah,
I
so
had my
that's a
financial
retirement
manager,
community.
It's
yeah,
not
it's like a
it's not an
retirement community
actual
for like
retirement
rich people.
community.
Well, no, but like that's where a lot of people go to retire, right?
Mm, I wouldn't say so. I would say more so Ponte Vedra Beach and Palm Coast are more retiree centered. St. Augustine, there's a lot of new families, young people, and
man,
there's a mix. There are areas that are more older people, but there is a very large population of, starting families and things like
then you
that.
should branch out into like a different state, like Montana, Idaho, Wyoming. Like phone repair, computer repair there, it's non-existent. Like there's no one there that's even tried to because they don't believe that there's money. But I know that there's money in those places.
I believe you. I 100%, I believe you, and I agree with you. I don't want to. I don't want to go out of state. I don't want to go out of my area. Um, like I said, I mean, my main goal is to have the locations that I have and be able to, not have to run them, and but still
Just make
Valid.
sure you
go
get the
stop by once a
villages.
week and buy everyone lunch and
You
everything.
you want the
Yeah.
reward without the work though.
Well,
Hey,
no, the
hey,
work will be done in all the years leading up to it. It's
Ben.
it's yes.
Yeah, I'm not trying to disagree with what you're trying to do. I think that whatever you do, you just need to make sure that you have a really solid plan in place. The number of partnerships that go sideways is massive, because you end up having two people that don't agree on the same things. And then if you're both 50-50, I would never recommend 50-50. You want to be at least the controlling partner. You can give up a percentage if you want to give up a percentage to somebody to make sure that they've got some skin in the game. But I would never do 50-50. I've owned three different companies now, and no, four different companies. And I did a partnership one time where it was 50-50 partners. And as soon as you guys don't agree on something, who settles the debate? You're both 50-50. You want to run your way, so you at least want to be, no matter what, 51%. So that's the only, I'm not going to tell you what to do or how to do it, because that's up to you, and you can decide how to do it however you want to. But the one recommendation I would make is that make sure that you are the controlling partner. Do not make it be so that you're equals.
Okay, I
That's
think you're right.
honestly understated by a lot. That's
100%. Yes.
that's
I
big.
agree with that. I had thought about that, but it wasn't a huge
The, the
thing
way
in my
you could
mind. But
do
you're
it,
right.
Ben, the way you could do it, and I apologize, I've missed some of this, but depending on how you want to structure it, you could do it to where it's like a milestone where you start at like a certain percentage of giving this other person, right? The other partner, maybe they start out at 20%, and once milestones are met, then you're slowly giving away up to an X amount, but like you don't do the 50%, but like start it out slow so you're not giving out everything at once because you want them to be able to still work for it, right? Because if you're just
Hmm.
gonna give them everything right up front, like I don't know, like you don't know how they're gonna, perform, right? Are they gonna deliver on what they say they are? I think especially if they don't have a lot of money invested. I mean, I think it depends on that, right?
The person he's talking about is an absolute goat. With that being said, I would be so scared to give 50% majority in a company that I built.
Yeah, no,
I think
I
I think
would
that
never
you're
recommend
all
that.
right. You're
Well,
all
so
right, and I will probably have that conversation about altering it to 49. And
well,
then in the
this
future,
is
I will
what I would
consider
do.
other
Why
things.
are you why are you so close to that? Why are you so close to that 50%, Ben? What makes you want to give away that much of the holding in the company?
because that's what I feel like is fair for what I want out of it.
Is there a significant like investment behind this? Like, is it like what are they bringing to the table? Their expertise of multi, location owning? Are they bringing money to the table, employees? Like what, besides that, just mentorship?
So they
Sales experience is insane.
sales experience is amazing. They
Accessory upsells are insane.
they bring a little bit more repair knowledge to the table than I do. Um, I think the biggest thing that they bring to the table is um, trustworthiness, and knowing that this is a person that I can give this amount of my business to and walk away from it, and everything will be better than when I left it,
Okay,
and
so
continue to get better. So this is what I think is a fair trade for
yeah,
saying, here is my business. I'm not doing anything to it anymore. And I'm talking about one location. I'm not saying
yeah.
I'm going to give them half of my corporation that owns all of the stores, which I wouldn't. It would be individually owned, but this is just for one location.
So is this person going to come work in the store? Like their experience is great, but are they like where does that benefit you unless they're actually in the store working it? Like they can
Yeah,
train the employees, but okay,
that's
that's what I'm trying to understand. I didn't hear the whole.
okay.
Sorry,
Yes.
that's why I missed part of this. So okay, that
Yes,
makes more sense.
running
That's why.
running the store is their job. Running the store,
Gotcha.
being in here 5, 6 days a week, hiring, I mean everything.
Okay,
Operations of the store
gotcha.
is in their hands.
Fair. I understand. Like, yeah, I mean, I still say don't do the 50%. Yes, but I mean,
I will
there is
probably
value
do
there
49.
otherwise. Yes. Yeah.
Um, Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that if I wanted to give less, it would still be fair. I'm sure I can make convincing arguments to that, but as someone who has honestly to this day, I have more experience being an employee of a cell phone repair store than I do being an owner, and trying to combine those two factors, that's in my head
So
is the most fair
if you
trade-off.
don't mind, let me jump in. So you say you have more experience being an employee than an owner. How long have you owned your store?
Uh, 1 year and 2 days.
All right, so let me ask you this. With that being said, being an employee, you probably weren't getting paid enough, right? And you decided to jump to go and open your right. So I think what everybody on here is trying to tell you is giving away 50% of your business, you're finna end up creating the same thing. That whoever the guy is, I don't know who the guy is. Too, he could build your business and destroy it and just go make his own. So it's best I would just keep him as an employee. I'll become a highly paid employee. So pay him like $20 an hour, give him commission. That's what the Arabs do. Just being honest
Hmm.
with you, I like in my area, the way they operate, you come in, they teach you everything, they increase your pay over time, and then they give you a store and give you like 20%.
Okay.
And they just keep replicating the process. That's honestly how I don't know how it is down there, but here I'm in Louisiana.
Okay.
The Arabs here have like 40 stores. It's nothing
Damn.
but family, and they replicate the exact same thing every time.
Okay.
These guys that run those stores, they stay for 10, 20 years before they leave. And then, but by the time they leave, there's another employee already in place to take over. So I think that's the better way to go. I wouldn't give up that much of your company because it could easily be destroyed that way.
I think you're right. I agree with that. And I think that I'm gonna apply that more to the next locations. I think that in this scenario, with this person and this person only, it's going to benefit me in a lot of ways, outside of just this location, because it will give me the assistance that I need with helping out with other locations, and all sorts of other things that, at least this specific situation, I think this is the right thing to do. But on the future locations and on what I'm going to be asking with those, I think you're 100% right, and I think everyone else is too. That I probably shouldn't give half of them up. Um, and I would, yeah, I definitely want to look into the contractual part of that too. Of what happens if I give someone so much of my store and then they want to go open their own. Obviously, there would be non-compete agreements signed and everything for this area, but obviously I can't stop them from going to do something in another area, but I would have to see what I can do to, make that fair for me if, 2 years from now they decide to go out on their own and leave my store.
Hey, Ben, did non-competes even hold up in Florida? Because here in Oregon, non-competes don't mean a damn thing.
They shouldn't hold up for shit anymore for the most part. I mean, I
Yeah,
think it really depends on how
non-competes
much.
are non-competes are honestly a bunch of bullshit. That's my thing. Like if you teach somebody and they leave, that's just because you weren't a good enough boss.
They do actually hold up in Florida.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Oh,
Hey,
hi, Tony.
Tony.
Hey, they do. I actually myself created a non-compete contract that was made by a lawyer, though. That's the
You are the perfect person right now. Because you
yes.
do, I think, something similar so with all of your stores, don't you, oh, hold on.
He franchises, bro. He does something completely different.
He franchises, but is he still an owner of those stores?
I
Yes,
think he.
I own
Oh,
six of them, six of the locations, and eight others that are franchised. So yes, now to give you the proper answer, we're discussing non-compete contracts, correct? And how is it processed with employees?
Not exactly. That was a very small branch of a bigger conversation, but do you own 100% of the stores that you own, or do you own a percentage of them?
100%.
Okay. And
oh,
in your experience, are you able to own 100% of those stores and be hands off, effectively?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm doing now.
That's awesome.
100% hands off for the past 7 years or 8 years. And
Damn.
this is including me and my partners. So, which is my partners are my brothers, just in
Okay.
case no one knows. So my partners in the Selfix stores, me and them are 100% hands off operation in the retail stores. So they are
Okay.
fully operated by individuals, employees only.
Okay.
that's who you
With
need to talk
commission
to,
base.
Ben. That's who you need to talk to. That's the goat right there.
Yeah, Tony is the GOAT.
What questions do you have for me, sir?
I don't know how many questions I have at the moment. I'd probably take a while to come up with them, but everyone's trying to talk me out of turning my location into a partnership.
Nobody's trying to talk you out of it. People are
Okay,
warning
I,
you
I'm
about the
I'm
issues.
mostly joking when I say that.
partnership is so I'm against partnership unless you as the first owner operator has the upper hand. Um, one which means 60-40. So do not agree for anything less than 60 versus 40%. If you are taking in a partner that is going, of course, to operate the store, uh, I would say 90% or 100%. The best way to do it is don't give them 100% of operation and management. Now, my stores are, yes, fully operated by my employees, but they are not fully operated financially by my employees. So the way it
Oh,
works is, um,
it's fair.
I'm getting phone calls, sorry. So the way it works is these individuals. Sorry, I'm keeping getting phone calls. That's why I got my laptop coming up. So these individuals open the stores and close the stores. That's it. So we are the owners, and then we have a regional manager, which is a just. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. You can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Turn do not disturb on, bro.
I'm getting my laptop up. Just accept me when I'm coming through my laptop.
Must be nice to be
Um,
popular.
I know, right? Not on Fridays. Not on Fridays, bro. Um, so so the way it works, we're the owners, then it goes to a regional manager, which or his job on a daily basis is he gets paid to pretty much manage the stores financially, problems, reviews, problems with customers, any issues that does not we don't want it to get to us. So we're pretty much just owners on the back end and at the end of the month. Any day-to-day operation or gets handled with, and if something gets pretty tough with him, he just reaches out to us. So the way we do is instead of we dealing with 15 or 20 employees, all we're doing is we're dealing with one guy who understands
Genius.
how we operate and how we work. Instead of him coming saying, "Hey, I got a pissed off customer at the store. What should I do?" He will handle that situation. And if it gets to the point where this customer just needs a free repair, or they're gonna write a bad review, that's when it gets to us. Or if the customer say, "I'm gonna sue you," that's when it gets to us. So other than that, he has full authority to make decisions to whatever is good for the business.
Okay.
That's the best way. Well, that works if you have multiple stores. Now, to have one store and one partner, I do recommend it. I'm not a big fan of it unless you have 60% of ownership of the business. That's one. Number two is you are the guy that does the financials. So this guy can close shift, drop it in the drop safe. Once every 3 days, you go in the store, you do your paperwork, and you make sure there's no short. You give him his 40%, you take your 60%. He does 90% of the work, you do 10% of the work, but you still control the financial part of the company.
That's pretty much that's exactly what I'm looking to do. And to summarize of what you missed in a very, very short form, um, I guess my long-term goal is I want to have 4 or 5 locations, and I want to have my initial thought was I want to have partners in each of those locations so that once I reach that goal, I can walk away. I can do the financials, like you said, or I can hire a regional to do that for me, and I can go to another industry because that's what I want for my life. I want to go do something else.
That we've done that. Yeah, that's what we've done. I mean, that's why we've at first, of course, when we owned maybe 2 locations. Hold on, I guess I'm in the laptop right now. All right, you see me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let me hang up here.
So much wisdom that gets spread when Tony enters a Zoom call, bro.
Yeah.
Right? Like I make sure I do these moves, right? I gotta get everybody's attention. Like I get you busy. You know when you go to a jewelry store and he start doing like this, look at this watch.
How many
Yeah.
calories do you think you burn from moving your hands around all day?
Look at my finger. It's burned from text messaging. So the way we did it, the first 1 or 2 stores we had hands-on, fully operation. One of my brothers was a technician. One of my brothers was the sales guy. We had another person with him. We opened the second location. We hired an employee at that second location. 2 brothers were still on and operate the first location. We opened the third. Then my main brother was the sales guy at the first location, got pulled out, and we put employees at 1, 2, 3 locations. And my main brother was the guy who goes around the 3 stores. And then branching out past 3 locations, you got to understand, you open a second location, you still have control. You open a third location, you lost control. There's a massive difference between owning 2 and 3. 3 and 6 are very similar. 3 and 4 are very similar. 1 and 2 are very similar, but 2 and 3 are not similar. The minute you open the third location, you're pretty much multiple doors, and the whole operation changes. The problem changes, handling the problem changes, and the operation considered to be a multiple door business. If you own 2, you still can control. Owning 3, you definitely need you have to take yourself out of that of one of the locations, and you being the general manager. Do not open 3 or more locations and you are stuck in one location. Do not do that. If you're planning to do that, those 2 extra locations will probably feed off the first one, and a few years later, you're out of the industry like a lot of these guys.
That's exactly why I had the thought of doing it, with partners or very high level employees at least, so that when I want to be the one to open every single store and get it off the ground and set it up how I want to, because I'm good at that. Um, and I want to be able to basically set up each store at the end. I want to set it up so that I can walk away and it manages and runs itself, and then I can put all my focus into the next location until I get to the amount that I want, and then I get to leave and still own the businesses. And so
The
that's,
biggest problem in our industry is theft, man. So
yeah.
it really you could break even if you're not selling. If you're selling $7,000 a month or $10,000 a month and there's no theft, you're not losing money. The
Right.
minute there is theft, you're $10,000 behind a month. So you really have to know who you're hiring. You really have to. One camera of a 15 Pro Max is a lot of theft. You know what I mean? So you have to make sure who you're putting under your wing. I mean, it could make you or break you. So it's a big decision. We've expanded. Remember this, when we expanded to 14 locations, 13 of those locations were actually mine, owned and operated 100%. And then from that point on, we shrunk back to 6. So I started selling number 13, number 12, number 11, number 10, number 8, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Due to the fact of theft and due to the fact of before COVID and after COVID people. So you're dealing with totally different animals, totally different human beings. I do say that about Florida mainly. Coming back from a lot of the expos, I'm actually realizing that there's more good people in other states. States like
Florida's rough.
Yeah, Florida is. Josh Moulton's from the country, so you got people like that. They're still legit. They're veterans. You know what I mean? They don't play around. Like they're straight. Florida is a big state with a lot of mixes, and you get a lot of different personalities, and that's where I could tell you probably 2 out of 100 are good as employees, especially in our industry.
Unfortunately, you're right about that. It's really hard to find, and I hired the first person that I ever hired had 7 years in the industry, and it sounded very promising, interviewed great, and wasn't. I moved on, and my next hire was a 15-year-old high school kid who had no clue what he was doing. He is amazing. I taught him everything I know. He has more respect for me in the business because I took the time to teach him everything. He does everything my way. He's very trustworthy.
Yep.
And so after that, I was like, well, now I don't want to hire anyone with experience anymore. But then when it comes to, what I want out of this and finding people that would make good partners, it's hard to do that because you have
that new well, the saying says you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a big issue with that. I have a technician who's currently leaving my company after a year and a half. gets $22 an hour. In Florida, that's huge. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
We give him a shift from 10 to 9 p.m. or 10 to 8 p.m. The past 6 months, the guy's been coming 2 to 3 hours late every single day. And when he comes in, he says, I'm not making enough money, and then I'm behind at work. Well, the only solution is come on time. You'll actually make enough work. You'll make enough money, and you won't be behind at work. So at this moment, he gave me his 2 weeks notice. I don't fight for it. You know what I mean? He's been doing this for like 7 years or 10 years, micro soldering and all that. But you got to understand, sometimes you can't help people who don't want to help themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
We've been around for 14 years, and currently I have 8 locations that are franchised. 7 of these locations are actually franchised by ex-employees of Celfix, which people that worked for me for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, and then they got on and got their own Celfix. One of the guys actually moved in from New Jersey and bought number 8, which is the last location. He was working at a cell phone shop, saw the opportunity, was making $4,000, $5,000 a month. Now he's making 15 and 20. I mean, you can't ask for more money without putting more work, especially when it's your first opportunity. I mean, you know, people like us, people like Josh, people like you, how many times have we hit rock bottom? You know what I mean? I mean, I could give you an example about Josh. I'm sorry, Josh, but Josh created Powered. He did spinners. He did this, that, phone buybacks, a bunch of
I've
stuff.
sold
You know what I
potters.
mean?
I've been through every segment of this industry, 100%.
Exactly. But if he expected to get rich from that first, gig he got, he wouldn't be here right now. You know what I mean? So a lot of these guys haven't even yet tried a gig. Like, they haven't even got an opportunity in life. And they're like, oh man, I don't want to put 60 hours a week. Bro, I work 96 hours a week.
I have to wake up. Hey,
But that's
Ben,
the difference between doers and complainers.
Ben, as you know, my employees are really good. Here's advice for really anybody in here. The cell phone industry is hard to find people to work for. However, the computer industry, people fucking love computers. And if you find somebody that knows how to build a computer and could do basic diagnostics, and you could teach them how to repair a phone. I have a tech that's been working for me for 6 months now, and now he's doing iPad 9 charging ports, soldering, and his only experience was he lived with me, and I built computers, and he learned how to build computers. And then I taught him. My other employee, he started by building computers, and I was like, hey man, if you learn how to fix phones and you learn how to solder, I'll pay you $20 an hour. And we started him at $16 an hour. Well, guess what? In about 4.5 months, my employee was soldering every single HDMI, and I no longer do HDMI ports and iPad charging ports. So
That's awesome.
that's my advice, is find somebody that knows how to work on computers, because computer people are highly motivated for whatever reason, and phone repair people are not motivated for whatever reason.
I think computer people are more
they like their job. They like the job. They're not there for the money,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're not. They haven't. Let's call it. They haven't been around the block. Like, they haven't. A lot of these cell phone people know how to get around. Okay, they know how to persuade a customer. They know how to upsell a customer. They know that they can buy a phone for $100, flip it into 500. So it's not that they're crooks, but we could be crooks if we wanted to be.
100%, yeah.
And when you're an employee and you're getting $150 a day, and just by one slick move, you could turn that 150 to 500, and no one knows. I mean, it's tempting. It's kind of like somebody walking into your store with a brick of gold and tell you, hey, give me $100 for it. Are you going to take it home, or are you going to give it to Ben and say, hey, master, I just got you a gold, box. So it's just, that's what it is. I mean, it is tempting. I 100% acknowledge it. But I think, the people that fly straight, they fly longer and further. And the people that are crooked, I mean, they're still asking me for jobs now. you know, after 12, 14 years. Believe it or not, you know, a funny fact, my first franchisee was someone. Okay, so I opened my first store in 2012. A friend of mine opened his store in 2012, literally 2 months apart. A year and a half later, he almost goes out of business. So I come to him and I said, let me partner up with you. The same thing you're trying to do, Ben. You own and operate, let me manage the money. So this is his reply. He goes, what am I supposed to name this store? Selfix? Ha 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 ha. Literally. That was his reply in 2013. I said, yes, Selfix. It's not with the name, it's with the management. 2014, or end of 2013, he ran out of business, and his store was my second location. I took over the lease. 2019, that guy was my first Selfix believer. He was the guy that I franchised my first Selfix to. He started making $20,000 a month. Coming back from 2012 to 2019, he wasted 7 goddamn years for no fucking reason and ended up under my wing. Guess what's funny now? That guy had a partner in 2013. His partner right now is 2025. He is my general manager. He's the guy that goes around the stores. He works for me. And those are the guys that said, Selfix? Ha 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 ha. One of them is my franchisee. The other one is my general manager. Why did you waste
That's
14
insane.
years?
Hey, Tony. Nor has a question for you. He said, "How do you control or catch or prevent theft from employees?"
Oh,
Good question.
that's a hard.
I have the perfect answer because it's all noted. So the way we prevent theft as far as cash, we'll get to the phones later. So every day an employee walks into the store, there's $300 in the cash drawer. They go in, they count it, they log in, they clock in with their name, and they insert how much cash they walked in with. Along the day, I have a general manager that goes around the stores, I would say probably 3 times a day, 3-time visits, unannounced. This is the guy who is my general manager. Also, I personally have access to the cameras, which they're pretty much open on my computer and open on every single one of the partners. So that's 3 of us on cameras day to day. If he loses some, I'll catch some. But we're not like tracking it 100%. But of course, even if you track 100%, you're not going to sit behind a computer 12 hours a day. So they go in with $300. Inventory is counted, and we do weekly inventory, which means everything as far as devices are weekly scanned and make sure that everything in the showcase is the same thing as in the POS system. All the sales are being followed with, of course, on the POS system. Now, you can't prevent someone come in with an iPhone 13 and they would buy it for $100, take $100 out of the drawer and then sell it for $400 and put the $100 back in it. That could happen everywhere. But at the end of the day, which a lot of the theft happens at the closings of the day, we do not allow employees to count drawers. All their job is to count $300, grab everything else, put it in a bag, and drop it in a drop safe, which no one has access to except us and the general manager. So just in case if the employee is about to steal and he doesn't ring up anything, he cannot trick you by counting the money. Their job is to count $300. So if a red flag comes up, I'm not going to sit on the camera for an hour and a half, look at the dollar amount they're counting. I don't. I just make sure that they put 300 in the drawer. Everything else goes in the bag without a count and gets dropped in the safe. Every 2 days, that money gets picked up, taken to our office, counted. If there's over, it's the same thing as there's short. Remember, it cannot be over. If there's over, there's theft. If there's short, there's theft. So if there's a couple of dollars where pennies and dimes add up by the end of the day, it makes sense. But when you have $142 over or $75 short, then there's red flags. Then we go back to the cameras. and we see who's working there, and when we start scanning the report.
Tony, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
This is probably the closest I got to an employee stealing, and I believe in my employees more than I believe in myself. So this was very hard last night. Last night we went to go do the counts, and we only had 3 cash transactions, but we went to go do the counts, and we were showing that we were $100 off. Well, I ended up going through all the denominations that we got for the day with my dad because my dad's a numbers guy. I think I ended up figuring out my problem, but my camera was a little blurry, so I can't tell. I believe when I handed back the customer change, and I'm more mad that I'm the one that did this, that I handed them back. I was supposed to be $70, but what I think happened is I handed them back a $100 bill. Just curious, while we're talking about this, do you have any tips for me? Because going forward, I was only going to put 50s and hundreds underneath the change in the cash drawer, so that would not be an accident.
Okay, so what we do is the reason why we leave 300 in the drawer is
I
to
start
have
with 250, so I'm kind of like you.
That's well, yeah. So when you have 300 or 150 or 200, you have enough change to give back the customer if you have a small transaction with a large bill. The under the drawer is a big no-no. Big no-no. I would recommend every time that you get $100 bill or large bills, drop it. Drop it. Do like a shift report and drop it in your drop safe, which means you have no large bills in the drawer. We don't have any under the drawer. So what we used to do in the past, and that's when we had the 13 locations, I had an assistant at the office, and every day she would call to remind the employees to do a 3 p.m. shift, like a midday shift. That midday shift, we make sure that there's 300 in the drawer, and then the rest of the cash goes in the drop safe. Now that eliminate if there is any issues or any theft, we know it's 9 to 3 or from 3 to 9 instead of looking through the 12 hours, because my stores do open 12 hours a day. So if you're one store and one owner and you have an employee with you, my best bet, man, I mean, if you visit your stores daily, my best bet, just go there, count 200 or $150, and anything extra, just take it out till the end of the day.
That's typically what we do, and that's how I caught it. We had 250, we made 830 for the day, so 830 plus 250 should have been our till, but we only had 980 in there, and I was like I was flipping the hell out trying to figure out what the hell happened if this was my first time my employee figured out if he could get away with stealing or not, and I didn't know what to do, and I finally wrote it off as my loss because I checked the cameras and there was no. Yep, that's the other thing I'm thinking about doing is putting a camera right over the cash drawer.
Every single location has that on top of the drawer, on top of the cash drawer. So we
just transact a lot of money because we buy devices too, and I feel like it's so easy just to say yes, we bought a device for X amount of dollars, and then just to pocket that X. It's so easy.
My biggest theft was from a situation like this where I think the actual money that we caught on cameras were $22,000.
What?
And the money that was estimated in the 8 months was over 80,000.
What?
Yeah, that was my biggest theft. We've got him arrested.
Wow.
He's currently paying $500 a month. So
that's insane.
So that was his. We have a store that does like 4,000, 5,000 a day, right? And when numbers are 500 or 700, I mean it's a normal thing where it doesn't get attention. So the way he was doing it, he was buying phones. So a customer would walk in with a 12 Pro Max, for example. He would grab $200 out of the drawer and hand it to him. By the end of the day, that 12 Pro Max is actually sold for $500. So he would put the $200 back in the drawer and he would pocket the 300. So there was no way to find. There was no way to find out. There was no way to find out. He's using my money during the day, and he's actually paying me my $200 back. But in reality, he would sell a $500
stealing
sale.
from you.
All my profit was gone.
That's insane.
Yeah.
How did you catch that?
We So we started we put him, and it's a crazy fact. He's an old friend. Like he's the oldest friend that I've ever hired at Celtics. Like we've known him for 20 years. And when we hired him, we put him at one store, numbers went up, profit went down. Then for 2 months. Then the second 2 months, number went down almost like 30-40%. So we're like, okay, at that point, we had a competitor who opened across the street from us. So we thought maybe, our business is going somewhere else. So we took him out of there. That was 4 months in, and put him at another store, which is 692 square feet. And that's one of our busiest locations. At that time, we started seeing that at the closing shift, he would tell the employee there with him to go brush the rug in front of the door, just go kick it out, or broom the store, or clean the bathroom exactly at the closing time. So the way he was doing it, 45 minutes before closing, he would open the drawer, count count the sales, and count the money that he hasn't rung up. I mean, the highest day he stole was $1,100 in one day. Yeah. So we started seeing that. The day we caught him, we took him out of that store. We put him in a very slow store, and he started like panicking, like, please don't put me in that store. He was making $500 a day. And that store that we put him in was just open, doesn't sell $500 a day. So the day we go in there and answer it. The day we go in there, and then we literally my brother walked in, and he goes, listen, man, we got to talk about something. And he literally just start crying. It's like, I'm on pills. I know I was stealing. I did you. Like, we didn't even confront him. He just started spraying everything. So from that day, moving backwards, my camera go back 60 days. Nest cameras, they go back 60 days. We literally went back day 60, and we caught him stealing day 60. And then moving forward, you're losing a day. So I hired somebody, paid him $6,000 to sit down and watch day by day transactions and counting how much money he's not ringing up. The money that we hang up. The money we calculated was about $22,000 in those 60 days, but he's been doing this since day one. So what I did is I got a confession video. You watch too much fucking cop shit going on, so you have to get a confession from him, and you have to get an agreement from him. So I can do plan B. So plan B was, if I don't get my money nice way, I'll call the police and hand them all the evidence. So, I mean, you've been doing this shit so long, you become a fucking detective, So so I got a confession from him. I said, hey, what's your name? He stated his name. Do you agree for this video? Yes, I agree. What is this video about? It's about me stealing blah, blah, blah. How much are you stealing a day? $200 to $400. He stated that on video with an agreement of confession. So I called his family. They said, okay, we're going to pay. They dragged this whole thing a month and a half, thinking that I did not go back to the cameras and recorded everything, but I actually did.
Oh,
so they dragged it a month and a half. Literally after a month and a half, they told me, go fuck yourself. We're not paying shit. I said, okay, let's go to Uncle Sam. I literally go to the police station. I hand him the confession, hand him the videos. 2 weeks later, they put a warrant on his arrest. He haven't got arrested. So I called the police office and I said, how can I get this motherfucker arrested? They said, just go in front of his house and say, I see a fugitive. And I've done that. I go in front of his house. I say, I see somebody that has a warrant. 25 police cars and dogs go ram their fucking house, took his ass out, and I got my money. Funny
that's
story.
insane.
Yeah.
He
That's
got away.
awesome.
He got away with so much for so long.
Yeah, I mean, it's our industry, man. It's our industry. I mean, a lot of people say, how could someone do that? It's not how could someone do that in our industry. Is that I actually catch him. 90% of the fucking people steal, man. If they don't steal in the cell phone industry, they'll make it as it's not wrong. So, for example, you can have an employee who works for you, and a customer comes in that has nothing to do with the store, and maybe because he liked how she looked, or maybe he tried to get her phone number, he would give her a discount. That's called stealing from the business owner. You have people who would tell their cousin that, oh man, I work at Cellfix, I can fix your phone for half off, just meet me after work. That is stealing. A lot of people don't consider these things are stealing, but that is stealing. That's why I have my non-compete contract. You work in the cell phone business with me, you got no income in the cell phone business. It doesn't matter if you work for me for 5 hours a day, you cannot flip phones on OfferUp during or after my business hours. It's kind of like working a car dealership and somebody come in with a Camry and the dealer want to pay them $7,000, but you said, hey man, meet me outside, I'll give you $8,000. Come on, man, that's stealing.
I had that talk with my employee. I caught one day he was talking to the guy and he goes, well, if the store's not interested, I'll buy it.
He's
And I heard
fired.
that, and I just let him do his thing. And I talked to him and I was like, hey man, I was like, as long as you give the store, well, we buy computer parts. There's not always phones, but
Yeah.
as long as you give the store first dibs, and I don't buy everything that walks in, but as long as you give the store first dibs, I'm fine, man. Like if you want to buy that from them, like I'm okay with it.
I
But I
can't
also told him,
authorize that. I can't, because you know why? Because that raises a lot of red flags. What if you're not in the store? So that goes into the gray area, right? What if you're not in the store and a customer comes in with a PS5 and let's just say you pay $150, right? And the customer wants $170. But at that point, it's Christmas time and you can sell it for $400. So if you were the guy in the store, you probably would pay $180. And then he's gonna pay $180 and then say, hey man, you told me that I have the second right. So that creates a gray area where I don't want to sit here assuming that he's a good guy or a bad guy. I just have white or black, no gray areas. You work in my industry, go sell cars. I don't care. Go sell kitchen equipment. I don't care. You're in the phone business, I'll make sure I will give you overtime hours and I will make sure that the money you make with me is good enough to live good off. Now you want to work Uber past 9 p.m. Go. You want to strip past 9 p.m. It's none of my business. But you want to even sell drugs past 9 p.m. It's none of my business. As long as you're not in my industry, we're clear. I don't want to sleep thinking about what if this guy does, this and that.
It's hard unless you have a no compete clause. And from what I know, Oregon's where I'm from. Oregon, the non compete's not valid here. They won't hold up.
It's valid in every state of the U.S. Do you know what happened? I don't know if
Didn't the non-compete? I thought that federally got like basically stomped on.
No, so here's what happened. I don't know. Do you remember like 6 years ago, 5 years ago when Shay shared one online? Do you remember something like that? Okay, so what happened is it has to make sense for it to be valid. So I hired a lawyer regarding it. So the lawyer says it has to be valid and it has to make sense for it to actually make sense. So I said, okay, lawyer, what makes sense? He goes, it has to be a 20-mile radius maximum. That's the maximum that it could be. And a 1 year term after they leave work. So basically, my employees are not allowed to work in a cell phone repair shop or affiliated business within a 20-mile radius of a Cellfix for a whole year after leaving Cellfix. And have I used it? Yes, I used it twice and I won both times.
When was this? Because this new law came into effect in 2024 April. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is new. This just happened April 2024. FTC, they prohibit most non-compete agreements between employees and workers.
Large companies has that still.
I know they do, but like they're not going to hold up in court. That's the point.
I think it's to scare employees, because if your employee doesn't know any
that's
better,
all it is. It is. That's all it is.
So who money lasts longer? That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You're gonna go put $8,000 on the lawyer or four
Right,
thousand dollars
right.
on the
Like, how
lawyer.
much is it worth it to you to chase it, right? Like, that's what it ultimately comes down to. Like, what knowledge did you give this person that you find is going to be so valuable that you have to chase them down and fight them, right? Like that.
Okay, so it is
It's
not the
very few
knowledge.
people.
It is not the knowledge
What is
that
it?
you have.
What
So
is it?
everybody can fix phones. The problem is
Right.
in my community, it's I'm here on Florida Avenue, and you worked with me for 3 years, and a vacant spot just opened across the street. They would actually go across the street and open a cell phone repair shop, and that happened. And that's why I had to leave.
Yeah. I mean, I get it in that regard, but at the end of the day, yeah. I mean, it's,
No, but a lot of
if
people
you had
left
them for
and they
three
went work
years,
somewhere
you got your
else.
value out of them, right? Like you should have gotten your value out of them. But I mean,
Well,
at
believe
the
it, like it don't compete with me. So
right,
has
right,
there been
right. I
employees
see.
that left and
Remind
worked
me not
somewhere
to
else?
screw Tony over or talk badly about him
No.
ever.
Has employees left and worked somewhere else and have
Right,
never done nothing about it?
right.
Absolutely. And they were like 5 miles away, but they left on good terms. And
Yeah,
they haven't used my OfferUp account that I had made for Selfix to post for the other stores. You know what I mean? They
right.
haven't called my 3 employees and said, "Hey, man, I will pay you $1 extra. Leave Selfix." So these are the guys I go after. Don't.
Yeah, and there's the fine line. I 100% agree there. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that like where that line is crossed, and they're definitely doing something more malicious towards you in that at that rate, rather than respecting you as somebody who helped them those last couple of years. I
I had people
100%
calling
agree
code
there. Yeah,
enforcement on me, man. I
yeah,
had
yeah.
people, ex-employees calling code enforcement. Like they come at night with their car, take pictures of the store, call code enforcement. It gets like I've been through these wars in the past 12, 13 years. But at one point in 2019, I literally had to make a statement. Like my lawyer said this, he goes, Tony, the non-compete really doesn't do much, but it just drags your balls on the street. That's literally his own words. He goes, it just shows you got balls. And, it worked. It fucking worked.
I'm gonna derail this topic to go to Mr. D's nuts buyer himself, but his question in Facebook Live was, how do I turn my resale and business from just to this hustle into an actual business I could possibly sell in the future?
Yeesh. Hard question.
That's
Hard
a Tony
And
question.
question.
yeah, and that's why I told him. I was like, it's I've been there. I understand it. Like you're essentially selling yourself, right? Like you are kind of the business, and that's the problem until you've built up that structure, right? Like you've seen it, Tony, like building up employees under you at GSM Warehouse, like until you're just like the stores, not able to have to be there every day, it's nothing that could be ever sold. You have to be able to be away from that business for, whether it's a week, 2 weeks, a month, for that to be a sellable business because somebody doesn't want to buy something they're going to have to work into.
Well, not
Hey,
only that,
Tony,
but I also think that a lot of people in the IT space need to remember is um, the only way that your business is really going to be worth a damn is either A, reoccurring revenue, or B, a high volume of repeat customers coming in to where
Yep.
it shows strong profitability. Because I kid you not, like, so I mean, we buy businesses quite often, and in fact, we're getting ready to acquire one of our competitors, and all we're going to do is shut his doors and reposition traffic over to us. And I mean, his
just
books
buy
are
off the store and close it down. That's brutal.
um, yeah. So, but he has. I mean, the books are shit. He says, "Hey, I'm making this much money. Here are my tax returns." It's like, well, that's good, but how much of that is coming from X, Y, and Z? And they couldn't answer it. So we're structuring a deal right now to where if we do end up buying it, we're going to give him a little bit up front, maybe like $10,000 up front, and then we're going to give him like a percentage of the revenue that we have coming in from his customer base. As long as he has good database that's able to flag his customers from in our system. That way, when we pull our referral report, we'll know. But if you want to build something that you can sell, you have to do it in a manner that's going to show a strong repeat business. Because if you just have a lot of like one-time business, then that's not good. You can't be in the picture as far as boots on the ground operations. You could be a part of the management staff, but or reoccurring revenue.
So if you have an employee that you can just stay home and basically sleep in bed and you still make money, does that mean you have a successful business?
Fuck no. Because how much money is
Yeah.
I mean, in your opinion, how much money is making money? I mean, I could tell
For
you
my
I mean, I
business,
can
I need
tell
to
you
make
I'm sitting at
1,000.
home. I mean, I could say, hey, I'm sitting at home. I'm a business owner sitting at home and I'm making money. I don't have to do anything in the business. But the reality is I could be getting $500. Is that a business? You know.
Who's that, Nathan talking? That's a very good point, man. I had
It
this
is.
conversation with someone today is, he's working at a store and he says he makes $7,000 profit. I said, do you pay yourself? He goes, no. I said, if you step out of the store and you pay someone $6,000 a month, you're making $1,000. So you're really not making money. And that's the biggest problem this industry and every single family-owned business suffers from. You are not making profit if you do not pay yourself.
Yep.
The money you make after paying yourself is called profit.
Fuck that fuck that statement. God, I hate that statement. It's
Why?
the most true.
Why?
It's the most true. It's the most true statement. It is true. It really sucks because I got broken into in November and I took everything I had in the business and instead of paying myself this month and instead of paying myself last month, I spent it all on inventory. And granted, I got paid back by my insurance and I'm way ahead right now. But
What
for
kind
the
of camera
majority
are
of
you using?
huh?
What kind of camera? Do you have a photographer?
What do you mean?
It's moving. It's moving to follow
Oh,
him.
iPad Pro M4, bro. This thing is awesome.
Fuck, we're old.
It's fancy.
But I'm at the point where like I'm honestly happy if my business makes 1,000 a day. Like that's like my set minimum goal that I want my guys to make. Whatever they have to do to make that cases, screen protectors, whatever. And that's I don't know. I guess that's how I define if I'm successful or not.
Going back to
It's
these
stressful
nuts
though.
question, if you want me to touch base on
Yeah,
that, John.
yeah.
Good question. I really good question. He can. There's gonna be a few factors that he's gotta work on. Number one, he needs to actually claim everything that he sells. And I know definitely if he claims everything that he sells, he probably will not end up with half of the profit that he's probably claiming. Because if you're flipping, a lot of these guys are considered to be, entrepreneurs or self-employed. So if you have a record of how much transactions you've made and how much profit you've made, it's still sellable. Number two, which is very important, change your goddamn name from these nuts to a legitimate company. Number three, which I've seen he's already been doing that recently. He has been minimizing his appearance to make sales. So that's very smart. So you don't want it to rely on your face. You don't want it to rely on you. You want it to rely on GSM Warehouse, and deal with whoever, you know what I mean? Like, I'll give you another example, Ad Central. If you just say Ad Central, you're automatically dealing with whoever is behind the phone line or whoever's on the other line. You could, even if you know Josh, if Josh says Ad Central and deal with John, you're going to say okay because it's Ad Central. It's a trustworthy name and a legitimate company. So these are, I think, the three very important factors. If you have numbers, change the name, and step number three, minimize your appearance to push the sales, which you've been doing that, Mohammed.
Yeah. I agree right there, especially that was one talk I've had with a guy in the past that I'm friends with, and he was the same way in his business. He's like, I became the face, I became the business. He's like, despite the fact that we were, my business is more than just me. He's like, I was the face of it. Like that's what people knew, and they came to me. He's like, and I will never be able to sell that. He's like, so I've tried transitioning into figuring out what are my steps to get away from that. Is it what I got to build a brand and I got to start focusing on that, right? Like that's keeping you just like you said, keep your face out of it. Not don't keep your face out of it. Don't make your face the main aspect of it. Don't make yourself the main part of the brand. Let your brand take that and you be the voice of your brand.
One point of
And
time, I've had that issue where at the first stage of GSM was, moving up, and getting recognized. I've had that issue where, I had to slow down with the live videos that I'm doing because everybody's like, Tony got it. No,
yeah,
and that's why in every statement I would say GSM Warehouse, GSM Warehouse. You have to pitch the brand and the company multiple times. Now at this point, I refer some of my customers to either on the website or another phone of another sales guy. You know what I mean? So it helps when you try to expand. And now the company has records, value, and a brand and a website. So anytime it's, I can, if I want to sell or I get approached to sell GSM Warehouse, I can easily.
there's so
How do
many
you get
bad
employees
habits.
to stop getting? Oh, sorry, Josh. Go on.
You're good. You go. You're good. I'll remember.
How do you get employees to stop needing you? Like, I feel like I could sit at home, but at the same time, I also feel like if a customer calls and refuses to talk to my employees, like I work with a private investigator, he refuses to talk to my employees. He won't answer a damn question of theirs. All he says is, please just have Chris call me at his earliest convenience. How do I get away from that?
We got
Jason
away from that in
posted.
2017. The minute we took ourselves out of the stores, we stopped using the stores as our offices. So now I'm in a whole different building. My other team is in a whole different an office building.
I've been working from home lately every now and then, and it seems to all of a sudden, if I'm not there, they can solve it. But if I'm there, they can't solve the problem.
Well, they're relying on you. It's like a baby who wants to walk, and if they keep seeing their mom say, come, 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 and they're carrying them, they're never going to walk.
Yeah,
You
Jason.
have to let them you have to let them fall into the ditch for them to walk out of it. If every time they know you're in the back room and you're going to come for the rescue, they're always going to say, hey, Chris, wait a minute, let me ask Chris. Wait a minute. They're never going to learn. They're just used to throwing the problems at you. And I'm sorry for hijacking this whole video, man. I'm gonna need to stop
Nah,
talking.
You're the main
good.
event. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Everyone's here for Tony.
And I feel
Exactly.
bad that I tell my employees to go Google something or ask the cell phone chat instead of answering a simple question. Because they'll ask me something simple, and I've heard it from both sides where they say you should just answer your employee's simple question. But me, when I learned this business, honestly, like for the first year of my business, I was giving phones to another shop and letting them do it, fix them for me, and then I would give them back to my customers, 2 days later or something like that, and that
And that's
worked
no
for
problem.
me.
I'm willing to do that at this moment. When my microsolder employee leaves, I have no problem to outsource my jobs, especially microsolder. You have to understand this. Look, we've built a guideline. Everything that we get asked about, we've made a guide, like a paper, right? And this paper, actually, I probably have a copy of it somewhere, but that paper was, I got it right here. Look.
Do you let the question? Oh, that's cool.
Okay,
Do you
this
do you
paper-
let your employees struggle, or would you give your employees the simple answer? If the simple answer
give
is
them the simple answer the first time, the second time, and the third time I'll go off on their ass.
yeah,
Like
that's
I would
me.
say, I literally would. Like I said, okay, I'll give you an example. Yesterday or 2 days ago, I drove to one of the stores to drop off some repairs at the warehouse. And I walked in, I put my finger on top of some cases on the wall, right? And I took dust out of it, right? And then there's a girl employee there. So I pointed my finger, I said, do you see this? She goes, yes, this is dust. I said, you have till the end of the day for all the cases and everything will be swiped out, right? I said, thank you, have a nice day. I called her FaceTime today. And I said, how you doing? She says, I'm doing good. I said, can you walk up to the case behind you? She goes, okay. I said, point the camera at it. I didn't even know if she actually cleaned or not. So I said, wipe your finger. She wiped her finger. It was dusty. I said, listen, is it slow? She says, yes. I said, you have no motherfucking excuse to sit your ass down. You need to clean the fuck out of the store, starting from the front door to the bathroom, and I will come by 9 p.m. to inspect the stores. Have a nice fucking day. And I hung up.
I told you I wasn't mean.
I
do
don't
think
have
that's a
I don't
loaded
have the
question.
balls for that. I could never ever do that. Although
Oh,
I
just
understand
talk
that it's
to me, Ben. I
effective.
speak my mind.
It's slow. It's January. It's slow. They're doing $500 or every like 6 or 7 hours, man. So most of the day they're just sitting down on their fucking phone. $15 an hour. Get your fucking ass up and do some work.
Yeah.
When it's busy, you're gonna tell me that I got no time to clean. Now it's slow. You got no excuse.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, now that Daddy had spoken up, let Mommy step in here a little bit. So that's the loaded question for a couple of things. One, I mean, I definitely agree with Tony. Jason said in the chat, which I definitely agree with. He said empower them to make decisions. So how do you empower your employees? Well, you provide them with guidance and direction. If they come to you with a question, right, and a simple question, like Tony said, you provide them with the answer, but go a step beyond that. Document it, create an SOP, put it somewhere where in an organized, put it in an organized area that they can have easy access to. And if they come and ask you again, I do this to my employees all the time. They're like, hey, how do you do this? I forgot how to do this. Well, here's where you can find the SOP, figure it out. If you have any questions after that, come and get me. And then when it comes to allowing them to make decisions, do you have core values? Does your business have core values that helps guide the day-to-day decision making? Because if you don't, I definitely would encourage you to get some, because I have a phrase that when my employees call me and they say, hey, I got to talk to you. I say, okay, do you need me to listen? Do you want me to tell you what to do? Or do you want me to provide you with feedback? And if they say, hey, I want you to, listen or provide me with feedback, I have this situation, I'm like, okay, well, if you want me to provide you with feedback, the only feedback I really provide them with is it good for the customer? Is it good for the company? And is it in alignment with our core values? If you get answer yes to all three of those, then make a decision. You don't need me. You don't need me to do it for you.
Yeah,
I've given you all of the tools and resources that you need to take care of the customer.
You know what's the first question I asked him? Am I on speaker?
Oh, yeah.
Well, this generation seems to have a problem of calling everyone on speaker. So the first question I asked him is, am I on speaker? The second question, so this mandatory list, I put right next to the alarm and disarm, like the alarm panel, right? We put it right next to it. So it states here, important details to learn more about devices. So these websites, we give them so they don't even call you, Chris, to ask you how much should I pay for something. So we give them what is it called? usell.com or atmecho.com. These two websites give you the value of the devices. EchoATM.com gives you a very, 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 very fair for you as a business owner. usell.com kind of pays a little high. So what we do is we tell our employees to pay 20% less than what it states on there. So don't call me for every device you're buying. Go to this website, pay 20% less.
So you don't use like a global price list like Atlas to check? Really?
Right. Because
Central trade-ins.
Usell and Echo gives you the worst case scenario. Atlas sells these phones internationally, so they pay top dollars. I'm not here to pay top dollars. I'm here to pay low dollars. And you gotta understand,
that will change the game for me, bro. What was the website?
Usell, letter U, SELL.com.
Bro, Ad Central Trade-ins tells you what to pay the customer, which is
I'm
way
sorry.
less.
Yes, Ad Central.
There goes the plug.
I don't even personally try to say anything on here
Well, why
about
don't you
anything
pitch it
ever.
so people are asked for it? So
Because
listen, he's right. He's right. Wait,
yes, I
all
mean in
this
this
is under
scenario I'm
one
going
website,
to.
actually. The IMEI
I don't like how
checker-
there's an application.
Yeah, it runs the
Central.
diagnostics and pulls the IMEI
Yes,
properly.
but then you got to run a diagnostic and do all this work. Instead, some people, I don't want to, I like you, but I don't want to use it as a POS.
You could still do a price quote without the diagnostic.
Exactly. But listen to this. What if the phone is black? So listen to this. Listen to this. What I was going to tell you, I was going to give you 3 websites. And literally, just to realize that actually Ad Central has all these 3 websites under one. So we go to usell.com and then we go to SICW to check the IMEI. So we still go through the procedure of checking the IMEI and checking the value of the device.
Sure.
Ad Central actually tells you if the phone is locked or unlocked. It makes a big difference to know if the phone is locked or unlocked.
More than
$200-300
that.
difference in price, you know? And then it tells you if the phone is blacklisted. At this point,
Oh yeah,
you have
MDM.
2 issues. Number one, if the phone is blacklisted, you got to understand this by law. If the customer comes in and says, hey, Chris, I have a blacklisted phone, and you buy this shit, you're under arrest. Okay? If a customer comes in and says, I'm here to sell a phone, and you check and it's blacklisted, and you still buy it, you're good. You can just pass that information to the...
knowingly buying stolen property.
Yep.
You know it. So if the customer says it's buy this reported lost or stolen device, you're in trouble.
Yep.
If you buy the device and no one discusses it, you didn't know, that's what happened, because you got the signature, you got the thumbprint, pass it to the police, the guy will get in trouble, not you.
Yeah.
But you cannot buy a device where a customer say, hey, I found this phone, or this is a stolen phone, buy it from me. You cannot do that legally.
Yep.
You got to know where there's small threads, there's small, like, you know, things where you have to understand our industry. You know what I mean? I've had situations where we bought a phone that went blacklisted, and I've had a situation where I bought a phone that I did not know it was iCloud, and the police came in. All I did is gave them the paper with the fingerprint and the information of the person I bought it. And there I am. I'm out of the situation.
LNS is a tricky situation though, because people will file an insurance claim just for the money. It's the biggest scam I've ever heard of in my life. Is the insurance.
That is purely on financed phones, and that's the other thing that we do. That's, I mean, we are able to tell you if it's financed, right? So like that, and in my opinion, anything financed is an instant red flag, no matter what. Like I would be only buying something that if it's purely unlocked. I'm not trying to buy anything that's financed, because it's 100% a red flag. You're going to likely run into a non-payment or blacklist or LNS, like you said.
Buy it.
It's like, sure. I mean, I'm not saying don't buy it, but I'm saying for like a resale in your store, like that is one thing that like I'm not doing.
Value it as damage.
And that's the thing, like we price it differently based on locked or financed, anything like that. But we are the only way that I think that you can easily find that is financed without having to go to all these different sites. We tell you if it's financed, MDM, blacklisted, FMI, it has MDM, anything on it, like you instantly know, and you know the carrier. And if it says it's unlocked, it's unlocked, right? Like it's not going to be financed. Like it tells you it's financed. So like you already know what you're getting into.
The game changer.
So like
there's
Nathan
no good
said,
service.
Chris, like Nathan said, you know, you'll tell them once and you'll tell them twice, and then you start redirecting. So I got this stuck next to the alarm. So the first time they asked me, the second time they asked me, I said, did you read the shit that's on the wall? It literally has the steps of your day. Disarm the alarm. Like how dumb proof do you want this? Disarm the alarm. If the alarm trips before, make sure you disarm the alarm twice, because they're going to call you at 9 p.m. and try to arm the alarm, and it's not going off because the day before it went off. So you have to disarm it twice. Positive energy. Make sure your open signs are open. How many times did I drive by my stores and my open signs were not on? A lot.
That's why mine's in the SOP now.
Clock in and clock out, because I'm not going to go back a week later, check the cameras to see if you actually came on time and didn't. Your paycheck is in the palm of your hands, okay? Must post on all platforms 5 ads every 3 hours. OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, and all. Music must be playing in the store during business hours. Music, radio station, or whatever, R&B music or something that has, remember, music makes people want to buy shit. They don't want to hear your stomach rhyming, whatever. You know, they don't want to hear that shit. So music, it keeps the people in a good mood. We have music, we have speakers in the ceiling, and we have a radio connection machine that plays it automatically. No one is allowed to put their own music, because you have kids walking into the store and this new music will have, you know, put your ass back, hold, da, da, da. You know, we don't want that, right? So make sure it's family friendly. And around Christmas time, it's Christmas music. Count $300 in the drawer. If there is anything less than $300, report it to your GM. Okay. Display all the phones in the showcases. All the phones we take out every single night and we redisplay them again. Greet customers as they walk in. You must have a uniform. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, I will charge you $25 for every time you're not wearing a uniform.
What?
I will charge them $25 fine if they're not wearing my Celtics uniform.
How do you get away with that?
Oh, well, they represent me. They better represent me right. So, must clean and wipe the devices while displaying them. Every day they take the devices out, they display them back, they get a chance to wipe them down instead of having 1,000 fingerprints. Clean the showcases inside and out. Mop the store early morning and end of day. You water mop every single day. Outside lights must be on before sunset. How many times we open till 9 p.m. and if it's too dark outside on a standalone building, customers will not walk in. Organize all cases and flip the empty spaces. So we have a thing where you have to refill all the empty cases spots on the wall to make sure the cases, if somebody steals a case, you'll know somebody stole a case, and then you'll know what's on your wall. Must have the backroom repair area cleaned daily. Must clean the bathroom daily. Store must smell good. Counters must have a clean service with nothing on. Now, if that happens, if I have to say this 3 times, then I do go off and tell him, read this shit, get this shit done. You get paid hourly. I would actually get into conversation with them and ask them, when there's no customers in my stores, do I pay you? They say yes. Then I say, you better do some work. My payroll doesn't stop if customers are in store or not. They still get paid if they're sitting down on their Instagram. So yes, I do have the right to actually have them work as long as they're on the clock.
Can I charge my employees a fee for messing up? How do I charge them a fee for messing up?
Charge them if they pay me. I pay them and they pay me back.
I know, but I thought it's like the same thing. If an employee breaks the phone screen, you can't make them pay for it legally. It has to be the same thing.
Exactly. And that's why you pay them and they pay you back. I don't deduct it out of their paycheck. Illegally, it's not. You can't, illegally, you cannot.
So legally, they don't actually have to pay you that fee.
Or they can walk out and have I have no job.
Oh my God. Oh man, I've got a lot to learn.
Yeah, well, it costs to own 14 stores, man.
Oh my God.
Like if your employee calls you a nice man, a nice boss, you're yeah, I'm an asshole boss, and I'd rather be that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think I'm an asshole as well. But my guys are snap.
You're a piece of shit, and I don't even work for you.
That's not fair. What the fuck?
Wow.
Man, everybody trolls on me. Everybody trolls on me and Josh. We're like the most picked on people.
I hope you guys learned something today.
Yeah. Honestly, Tony, can I PM you? Can you send me a picture of that? That gave me some ideas to add to my list.
Yeah. Where did I? Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. We're gonna end on that. That was a good way to end this. Is Tony's
I'm charging my employees for firing them. That's what I learned.
But listen to this, Josh. Listen to this. You have 2 options. You can work for me, or you can work with me and own a self-fix store. So if you own a self-fix store with this mentality, you'll make $20,000-$30,000 a month. I don't want you to work for me. Come work for me. Come work with me.
Yeah.
You know. So I give them at least I give them that option. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Surround yourself with successful people. You become successful.
That's right. Keep showing up to these every Friday. You might amount to something.
I don't have friends anymore because all my friends are just not business owners anymore.
I don't have much friends either.
Same. I don't think most people do that are business owners unless they're other, business owners in the
Business
same industry.
owners.
All my friends fix phones.
My network is huge, though. My network
Yeah.
is huge. I can call right now and ask for 5 millions, 10 millions. I can get it. That's
Speaking
nothing.
of that, can I have a no interest Matthew Leonard loan?
No, I'll never pull that fucking move. Funny fact. I had a guy 4 days ago called me to ask me for $650 from this industry, and I said, man, I have a rule that I live by. I don't want to lose people. Like, if you want to lose somebody, loan them money, and I don't want to lose you. And I didn't give him $650.
Yeah, I got a customer I've been having a hard time with. They're always low on money, and they've been wanting me to give them no interest.
I have zero money on the streets, bro. Zero money.
But you don't buy from the streets at all?
No, I don't loan people. No, I'm talking about like zero money that people owe me. No money.
Banks down the road.
Exactly. Or Selfix is available. You can work.
Hey, you got anything to sell?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna hop off. Have a wonderful evening,
Same.
everybody. I will see you next Friday.
Have a good
You guys have a good
Wonderful
weekend.
call.
All right.
Good call.
See you guys.
All right.